Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is that game that gets me so mad but makes me so happy at the same time. It's honestly one of the best Pokemon games to ever exist, but also makes some incredibly stupid decisions. Speaking of decisions, at the start of every trainer's journey, they pick between 3 different Pokemon: Quaxly, Sprigatito, and Fuecoco. Let me know in the comments which one you ended up choosing. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit that like button. You'd be surprised how much of a big deal that makes down the line, and it's absolutely free. Trust me, I'm willing to accept anything for free after spending $60 on this game. I've been a Pokemon fan for most of my entire life at this point. My first entry in the series was Pokemon Silver on the Game Boy Color. I also play Pokemon Go pretty religiously, currently level 42 Mystic player. I was Instinct, but we were taking no gyms and we're super broke. It's really hard out here for Instinct players. My favorite Pokemon from each generation are Gyarados, Celebi, Blaziken, Mamoswine, Darmanitan, Sylveon, Beware, and Choodle. And I'll save Generation 9 for later. With being a Pokemon fan for my entire life, I've seen so many different iterations of the series with features that I love and hate. It's tough to be a Pokemon fan and enjoy a feature only in one game for it to be removed in the very next. Although that's just the name of the game with a series as massive as this. Since the game has me so torn on the inside, I decided to paste the video in the same exact way. I'm gonna give you what I really like about the game, followed by a feature that I don't like at all. Because it's hard to explain a game that I would definitely rank as a 6 out of 10 is also a game that I 100% completed. I've captured all 400 Paldean Pokemon and collected the shiny charm. My Nintendo Switch settings state that I played the game for well over 85 hours. How could I complete such a massive feat and think that this game is hot dookie? Let's find out. First thing I loved is the addition of the Union Circle. With this feature, it's possible for up to 4 players to meet up in a single game world and share their adventures together. When this mechanic was announced, I nearly lost my mind because of what this could possibly mean. Are you meaning to tell me that I can explore the entire game with my friends and they can continue to do their own things on the side? And that's basically what happened. When Pokemon Scarlet and Violet dropped, myself, the King Fenrir, and Pushing Knight got the game and played together. We've been playing Pokemon games together since the Alola region with Sun and Moon, and it's important to us that we make the time to go on these new adventures. With the Union Circle, we were able to group up in one world and do our own things. We would get together and ride out on our legendary Pokemon around the world, encountering new locations and Pokemon at the same time. The game also introduced a camera feature, allowing players to get together for a few flicks to capture the moment. I cannot emphasize how valuable the Union Circle has made this game for me. Being able to explore the world with my friends in real time is a real game changer. I really felt like we were on vacation traveling to this new area called Paldea. With a game like this being open world, we had to vote on where we wanted to go first. The whole point of it was to stay together and experience it all. And we're good to do that, and no Pokemon game can even come close. This needs to be a feature moving forward for the series because the multiplayer aspect of Pokemon has always been substantial. It's also really cool that if I have Pokemon Scarlet and my friend has Pokemon Violet, I can enter their game world and see and capture their version exclusive Pokemon. Trading and battling Pokemon is also super snappy in this. The Union Circle is fantastic and one of my favorite parts of the game, when it works. Now, you knew this was coming. I cannot make a video talking about Pokemon without acknowledging the Dawn fan in the room. But this game runs so bad. How did they release this like this? This is one of the most embarrassingly running games I've ever played. Every clip or video about the performance for this game is absolutely correct. I've never had a game run so slowly and sluggish like this before. It actually made launch Cyberpunk 2077 look like one of the best games of all time. I've had the game completely crash and tons of other glitches thrown into the mix. I wanted to talk about this first because it's a point that everyone likes to hammer home because it's a pretty big deal. It runs so bad, and because of that, it hinders a lot of the other experiences. And it's even worse when trying to play with other players.
My life be like.
What the dog doing?
I can't move it anymore. Maurice!
Gonna be chasing after someone.
Hey man, I cut you up so bad. You gonna wish I know cut you up so bad.
It got so bad, Nintendo had to step in and say something about it, offering up promises for more patches in the future to be released for the game. That's really bad, because knowing Nintendo, their game quality is very important to them. This does not meet Nintendo's standard of quality, let alone the standard of any game quality. I know there's been a lot of conversation about them delaying the games to make it better, and we all should know that that isn't gonna happen anytime soon. This rodent makes way too much money. Not that one. This rodent makes way too much money. Delaying the games means delaying the cards and the anime and the merchandise and some nameless executive's Christmas time bonus. Overall, the Pokemon Company would likely need to do some massive restructuring for them to consider delaying the game. It's kind of sad, but these games can be better and should be better. It just doesn't need to be better because these games still make tons of money, which shows me that I am part of this problem by buying into it. But look at how cute Mouse Holt is. I also really liked exploring Paldea and discovering new Pokemon along the way. I avoided tons of trailers, leaks, and promotional materials, making sure that my experience was as squeaky clean as possible. And I definitely benefited from that being the case. Encountering one of Paldea's newest creatures was always such a treat, and it felt good to explore the lands and go from one city to another on foot. It led to this grand scale feeling of a Pokemon adventure. Like, you remember at the end of the episodes of the Pokemon anime when Ash and friends would catch a glimpse of the city in the horizon? Yeah, like Ash is going there to get a new badge, but instead it's me. I'm gonna get the new badge. The city designs are also pretty nice and lived in. It actually looks like a real place that real people would live in rather than just houses being next to each other. This is one city that takes place in the desert that completely kills the frame rate when it decides to sandstorm out. Also, the idea of being able to go to any gym or challenge in any order you want is everything I could dream of. It added so much to the experience, allowing me and my friends to create our own stories along the way. For example, there was this hiker that looks like Critical on one of these routes, and he has this super mega powerful Go-Goat that completely destroyed my entire team. Not only that, but he completely clapped my friend too. This Go-Goat was absolutely no jokes. Then we both entered the hyperbolic time chamber and we came back for the run back and collected. Then we just kind of taunted on him. That's not him. I'm coming to you right now. You stay where you are. This is my Pokemon League right here. Looked like a Critical, didn't he?
Yeah, Moist Critical.
He looked like Moist Critical. He had one Go-Go. You are getting cooked. I've been waiting the whole game for this.
That's how we saw this. We didn't have gliding. We didn't have that.
What is your name?
It's Moist.
Paw?
Oh.
Paw?
Moist. This is it. Go, bro.
Nah, you're done. You're supreme done. Nah. I'm not playing with him, bro. He killed everyone. I didn't have a... He's the reason I needed a fire type. He's the reason I even found you. Ah! Light him up. Is that your only man? Oh my god. Good. I hope you sleep on that, L. Remember that we beat Boys Critical this day. Perfect. I hate this trainer. I felt better about beating this guy than beating Greta, let me tell you. But this is also something that only works in theory. While Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are constantly pushing players to go out into the world and create their own paths, the trainer levels have another story to share. So Pokemon don't actually scale when you're exploring the land, meaning there are definitive difficult and easy sections of the game. With that being said, we decided to go to the left side of the region first. After that, we were pretty decent leveled and decided to go to the opposite end of the region. While the left side gave us a decent challenge in the beginning, moving over to the right side showed that we were incredibly over leveled. All trainers, gyms, and wild Pokemon battles were too easy because the levels didn't scale along with us. And that was for about a good third of the game where I was pretty bored destroying everything in sight. Fortunately, it does get a bit more challenging towards the end. But the middle section of the game felt super unbalanced. Like, I felt like I was being punished for going a certain way instead of doing the one that the game recommends. While they don't give you an exact path, the levels between gyms kind of speak for themselves. It would be cool if each gym leader had their own team that changes every 10 levels. That way, every time a player shows up, they have something new to expect. I went into that grass gym and like, that wasn't even close. But lucky for me, whenever the game did something like this to ruin all of my fun, at any point, I could sit down and enjoy myself a nice sandwich. Okay, I did not anticipate liking this mechanic as much as I thought. You just make some real sandwiches using ingredients from the Pokemon world. These sandwiches can then offer a variety of different buffs, including spawning of a certain type of Pokemon, increased shiny odds, and faster egg rates for breeding. Trainers can also set this up at nearly any point in Paldea unless the player is on a slope. Because God forbid, the player is on a slope. friends can even join your picnic and create their own sandwiches alongside you. They can even bring their first Pokemon in their party to join the group for a little bit. You can watch them, play catch, and just spend quality time with your Pokemon friends. My one thing that I wish they added to this, I would love like a tarp or an umbrella to cover the picnic table. I'm tired of creating a picnic in the rain because all my sandwiches are gonna get cold and soggy, and there's so many different ingredients too. I never thought I'd be out here food shopping in a Pokemon game, but here I am. When they added the ability to make picnics, they removed the ability to switch between set and battle mode. You know when you're battling a trainer and you defeat one of their Pokemon and they're about to send out another one, the game will prompt the player which Pokemon the opponent is going to send out and will allow the player to switch out. Doing this will make it so the player will always have the type advantage against their opponent, which makes these battles easier. In older Pokemon games, it was possible to turn off this feature. This way, whenever an opponent trainer is sending out their next Pokemon, it just happens instantly. It was a way to make the game a little bit more difficult, and it's incredibly strange that they removed the option for it. I mean, sure, I could just hit B and not switch out by choice, but I quite frankly would rather like to never think about it again. Then there's the new Terra Raid battle. Acting as a follow-up to the Max Raid Dens from Pokemon Sword and Shield, this time trainers are able to act at their own pace instead of having to wait for each player to assign their moves. Because of this, battles were way faster and way more challenging than ever before. The 5 to 6 star raids are some of the toughest challenges in the game, and you will likely need a full roster of players to complete them. I ended up doing the whole Zoom Roll belly drum technique that quickly clears them out so I can grind for Herba Mystica. It's also a great way to earn EXP candy that can be used to level up those last remaining Pokemon for the Pokedex. Overall, I think the Terra Raids are a massive improvement over the old methods. When it works, once again, there goes those words. So if I go online and I try to join a Terra Raid battle lobby, it just sometimes won't connect me. Like, I'll select a raid and it'll leave me there stuck for several seconds only to tell me that I was unable to join the raid. And this happens a majority of the time. It's a miracle for me to get into the raid the first time around. Normally what I have to do is hit random and hope I get thrown into a 5 or 6 star raid. Otherwise, I'm just spending a lot of my time waiting around for the chance to play the game. Yes, because I spent $60 waiting for a chance to play the game. The thing is, you can't even quit. There have been instances where I see there's no way I'm winning this raid. Like, we would get extremely supremely clapped. I would like to run away from a battle, or at least vote to run away. If I select run in this game, it tells me that the Pokemon is too dangerous for me to run from. Bro, that's why I'm trying to run. I'm going to die here. The ability to vote and give up would be excellent. Please and thank you. Anyway, back to the positive. I like the ability to auto heal and auto battle. Auto battling works well when I'm just trying to get a little bit of XP. And boy, does auto healing save a couple trips to the Pokemon Center. It also depends on if the player has any healing items in their inventory to begin with. I can focus more on exploring the region rather than micromanaging my team. Although I do wish this feature gets improved in the future, it would be nice for auto heal to work on fainted or status ailment Pokemon as well, like using a paralyzed heal in case one of my Pokemon are paralyzed. For now though, I do think it's a healthy start for this mechanic. Speaking of unhealthy starts, what did they do to the character customization of this game? What did they do to the character customization? You boot up the game, and they give you tons of different options on hair, eyes, eye shape, eyebrows, literally everything. This led me to believe that the customization in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was about to go off. I was going to be able to dress my trainer exactly how I wanted. Wrong! My friends and I would run into every clothing store every time we would run into a town. We'd notice options for hats and sneakers and socks, but no option to actually change your clothing, like your pants or your shirt. So we thought maybe it's just deeper in the region. Other Pokemon games have done this where character customization options unlock as the player progresses through the story. But then we kept hitting more towns, and more shops, more shoes, hats, sunglasses, socks, everything, but actual clothing changes. Then we finally got fed up, so we decided to look up the truth, and it turns out you're stuck in this disgusting uniform. The game gives you the option between these 4 different preset outfits, but you're not allowed to change the outfits outside of that. A big part of the Pokemon experience was immediately thrown into the garbage. I picked up Pokemon Scarlet, so I had these orange floatal pants throughout the entire game. I look like a pumpkin, and I hate it. I don't know how they dropped the ball on this one when Pokemon games from the past just nailed it right on the head. How are we in Generation 8 and we're still having issues like this for an outfit? Allow me to express myself properly with outfits. Please and thank you. Then of course, I have to talk about the stars of the show. The Pokemon for Scarlet and Violet are amongst some of my favorites in the series. This is one of the few times where I actually struggled on which Pokemon to place on my team. There were just too many good ones this generation to choose from. But of course, I found my full 6 team and I love them so much. These are the Pokemon I bonded with during my time in Paldea. I started my adventure with Quaxly, the water-type starter. I ended up naming it Zeta Flare because it looks like Donald Duck. If you've ever played Kingdom Hearts 3, then you know that moment I'm talking about. I'm noticing a pattern with me where I have at least one Kingdom Hearts type Pokemon on my team. In Sword and Shield, I ended up going with Scorbunny because its final evolution looks like Sora. Of course, Zeta Flare went on to evolve, and I didn't know what to expect. Remember, I went to this game as blindly as possible, and oh boy.
Shiny.
Zeta Flare's evolving.
Whoa.
I'm not seeing what this thing's gonna look like. Bye, my handsome little man. It's been fun. What are you turning into, though? Hey, yo! My man look like Squidward with that chrome dome! He got a dumpy, too! Oh, my God! Quaquaval? What a guy. Here we go. Ah! Zeta Flare!
One last one for the room. What the f is this?
Oh, the head weight went to the... Yo! I love it. That's fantastic. Zeta Flare. Yo, what are those grippers? Oh my God! The run. That is my... The run! I love it! Above all, I love this entire line. I read on Twitter that someone called them a yassified Blaziken, and I love Blaziken, so let's go. On my journey, the first teammate I added was Glizzo. Once again, never seen the Pokemon a day in my life, but it looks like it escaped from the Super Mario universe and just jumped into this one. Then when it evolves, it turns into this little Minecraft monster. Then finally, its final form turns into like the Steven Universe Geo rock character. Regardless, this rock monster has been holding it down as long as my starter. Next up, going into the game, I knew I wanted to run that really cool Donphan. Donphan is one of my favorite Generation 2 Pokemon, so to see it get a new form was really exciting. I knew I wanted one on my team since I first laid eyes on it on that trailer. Of course, since I went into this game blind, I assumed there would be a way to evolve Donphan into this third form. So I decided to add a Fanphy onto my team. This Fanphy was called Pee Check because when elephants are very young, they shake around their trunks the same way that men would shake their... I raised Fanphy into a Donphan and eagerly waited to evolve into its final form. After a long time, I ended up growing impatient and ended up looking up on how to do it, only to find out that it's not possible. Great Tusk is an entirely new Pokemon, not an evolution of Donphan. So there's no way for me to turn the Donphan that I raised into this fighting machine that I wanted, which was really sad. So I benched Pee Checked, captured a Great Tusk, and named it Pee Checked and called it a day. Next up is my absolute favorite Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, Toedscool and Toedscruel, who in the design team said, let's make this not a Paldean form, but an entirely new Pokemon. This is one of the best designed Pokemon, period. They really took Tentacle's legs and said, what if we made him a landlubber? I ended up naming him Froggy after Big the Cat's little frog friend. Just look at this Pokemon. How could I not have this little bundle of joy on my team? At this point, I have 4 party members and I am in desperate need for a fire type Pokemon. With Zeta Flare, Glizzo, and Great Tusk on my team, I had a massive weakness to grass type Pokemon. So I thought running a fire type Pokemon would be perfect. I thought about running the little Mega Man guys, but I know everybody and their mother's gonna run that, so I didn't want to do that. Then I found Super Hot Fire, Muscovillian, and I fell in love. Look at this little Jurassic guy. He walks with so much swagger, it's dangerous to have him inside of buildings because he just might set them ablaze. He's just a weird 2-headed little dude with a really cool typing. Grass and fire typing just works because he's supposed to be like the spicy bell pepper, and he just fit the team perfectly. At this point in the story, I only needed one more Pokemon to have a full team. Although I have a strict rule when I add a Pokemon to my team. It ultimately comes down to one thing and one thing only. Can I feel it? You know that sharpness in your chest when you finally see a Pokemon you really like? It happened a lot in this game since there are so many high quality mons, but I just didn't know who I wanted to put as my 6th member. In Sword and Shield, I actually only beat the game with 5 Pokemon because I couldn't find a 6th Pokemon I could vibe with. I thought a hope would be lost. And then this happened. Shiny! Shiny! I got one!
No way.
Oh, I was like, why is this so dark?
God, I'm sorry.
Let's go. Yay! It looks like dirty snow. Little burnt. I got it. Crispy.
Again.
Hey. This was my first shiny encounter in the game, and it's a really good one. I had no interest in running Satotl because one of my friends already had them on one of his teams. But come on, a full odd shiny during a playthrough? That's like mandatory attendance even if the mon is straight dookie. Fortunately, Satian is pretty good and worked as a tank on my team. I named it Crispy since it kind of looked like blackened snow when I first encountered it. And with that, my Paldean Pokemon team was finally complete. What a group of misfits I've collected, and I love every single one of them. Now, I'm gonna make fun of some of y'all real quick, because let's be honest, not every Pokemon in this generation is a winner. In fact, this generation has some of the lowest lows I've ever seen. What the heck is a Dunsparce? Pokemon fans have been clamoring for a Dunsparce evolution for 20 years now. And we finally get it, and not only does it not change the typing, they just said long. Long. I think it's cool that we have 2 forms for it depending on how long the boy is, but it's so lacking after that. But this is so lacking after all this time. But then there's the Pokemon that are just like bigger versions of the previous forms. I remember seeing Palmont and Brambleghast for the first time and being pretty underwhelmed. They just said bigger and called it a day. Then there's Finnison and its evolution Palafin. When I first saw Palafin, I thought my game was broken. I was like, oh, did Did it even evolve? Oh, wow. It has a heart on his chest. That's nice. And then they show his hero form in the Pokedex. I'm like, wait, what was that? I think the concept of this Pokemon is really cool for battle. I just wish the base form Palafin was a bit more different. They said just draw some squiggly lines and a heart and call it a day. Of course, I do need to give credit where credit is due. This is one of the best stories for a Pokemon game yet. I remember being skeptical about how this story was going to be presented. Since trainers can go wherever they want at whatever pace, it was going to affect the story in its own way. But that actually wasn't the case. The story that's present in the game is fairly separated from each other up until the very end. Now, this is where I'm going to give a little spoiler warning since I'm about to go ham towards the end game. You have until the Dunsparce moves across the video to leave. What a disgrace. You could have been a god. Anyway, spoiler time. I just need everyone to stop what they're doing and look at this. You need to protect this with your life because wow, this was definitely the strongest story thread here. Sure, the gyms had moments of glory and Team Star had a story about bullying? I'm actually not 100% sure. But Arven's story of going around the region to find medicine to heal his doggy Pokemon companion who is sick, he immediately becomes one of my favorite characters right then and there. It's not about him wanting to be the best or travel around the world with his Pokemon. He's just trying to help his little sick puppy. Seeing his Pokemon get stronger with each story iteration just filled my heart up with so much joy. Not only that, but all the Pokemon he collects throughout his journey, he eventually uses to battle against you, and it's a fairly challenging fight. Once we reach Area 0 is when things start to really reach critical mass. The player, Nemona, Penny, and Arven all go to the great crater of Paldea to find the professor. On the way down, they're talking to each other while the player is actually moving. The game doesn't stop to make the player read the text boxes, rather they just auto disappear after the time has passed, not stopping the gameplay at any moment. This is one of the neatest moments in the game because I was astonished how they actually got a group of characters that I care about, because throughout the majority of the game they were separated. I felt like I was playing one of those really cinematic games for a moment, like in my silly little Pokemon game. Crazy. Then it goes even crazier after the player finds out the truth about the professor. I had Pokemon Violet, so Sada was my professor for this entry. To come and find out she's been brutally murdered by a Pokemon after all these years, and that the one sending out this mission was an AI designed to live out the professor's dream. Although the AI knows that the professor's dreams can ruin Paldea as the Paradox Pokemon can run rampant, then the AI begs you to defeat them as we get one of the coldest moments ever. Sada really pulls up with a Master Ball from another timeline full of a powerful Paradox Pokemon team. And then the music. Toby Fox made this. Like, you know, Undertale, Deltarune Toby Fox was cooking with gasoline when he made this. The battle was cinematic, challenging, and concluded the Pokemon story in a really sad way. Arven never really gets closure in this situation and is forced to deal with all that information in such a short period of time. Like, imagine thinking that your mom left you your entire life to go pursue her work only to find out that she's been dead the entire time. This woman that has been leading you on has been fake the entire time, and this is a Pokemon game story. I loved it. It ends strong, and I feel like that's a proper way to conclude the game. The AI battle is the true final battle anyway. Point is, the story felt relatable because it focused on the human aspect more than anything. The love we have for our animals and the unsolved mysteries we might have in ourselves. It's a story that I could definitely look back on and think it was pretty solid. While I did like the story, there are certain parts from previous Pokemon games that I'd like to mention here. More so, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and all the features that game presented that are just absent from here. For example, being able to capture Pokemon in the overworld was a game changer when that released. They acted like real wild Pokemon, attacking the player if they got too close with a plethora of different attacks, making it possible for the player to die right then and there on the field. Now, Pokemon just kind of walk towards you and awkwardly start the battle. I mean, sure, you could throw the Pokeball. That doesn't feel as good as that. Not only that, but it was also possible to move the player character during Pokemon battles. This might not seem like a big feature for some since it doesn't really do anything for the gameplay, but it does everything for me and my Pokemon trainer brain. The amount of times I would jump in front of a fatal attack in Legends Arceus thinking it would protect my Pokemon is too many to list. It's really good to move around and get any camera angle the player wants. It's a lot more dynamic and goes a long way in making the experience feel real. In Scarlet and Violet, it's just back to staying still. Like, you can still move the camera, but it's only around the Pokemon with little movement to get creative. And there's tons of things that Legends Arceus introduced to the series that are just completely missing here. Like the shiny jingle when you encounter shiny Pokemon. While that shiny jingle's been around in tons of Pokemon games, you better pray your eyes work like they used to. You can walk right by a shiny Pokemon in the overworld, but you better have an idea of what that shiny form looks like. There's no sound indication like in previous entries, making it much more likely to accidentally skip out on a shiny Pokemon. Please patch that in. That's an easy one. That's just a jingle. That's a soundbite. I'll do it for you. Ding clong. There, put that in the game. I do think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet needed more time in the oven, but I do also acknowledge that delaying the game is not that simple because it's more than just the game they'll have to delay. There's billions of dollars on that table that can be affected by such a decision. Would it lead to better games down the line? Probably. But just knowing how much money they're making doing what they're doing now, I doubt things will change. I just hope the next mainline entry can take what shined in Arceus, Scarlet, and Violet and put them all together. I think Scarlet and Violet has a lot going for it, but it misses so many opportunities to just be the best Pokemon game. Who knows, Generation 10 might go absolutely crazy. That could just be me taking copium and hoping for the best. Regardless, I had a lot of fun with this game, and I'm looking forward to come back when they drop the DLC. And of course, the 6 million other performance patches that this game desperately needs. Of course, let me know what you think about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the comments section below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Did you skip out on this because of the mess of content out there? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and stay awesome.